Dr. Sean Ahern is a geographic information scientist. He is the director for the Centre of Advanced Research of Spatial Analysis at Hunter College and the president of a consortium of 70 universities that focus on the research and education initiatives in the field of GI science. When Dr. Ahern first came to New York City in the 1990s, he noticed that New York City did not have a geographic database.
In the late 90s, the whole city was flown with airplanes using very specialized mapping equipment. And from those maps, we could actually get a single geographic base map of all the city and inventory all the features, the curb lines, the street center lines, the building footprints, all the features that could be seen from those photographs. So with that accurate map, then we could tie all the other geographic base maps to, for instance, the parcel map for the city of New York. Who owns what property? You need to know where it is if something happens. So that digital geographic base map helped all the different departments communicate better because they really couldn't communicate before because they didn't have the same geographic language. Nothing really fit together into the same sort of puzzle. So that process has been going on, and actually what really crystallized the importance of that base map was the World Trade Center crisis, because that involved all aspects of the infrastructure. And this lab here, the Center for Advanced Research of Spatial Information, was actually the only GIS database that was of New York City that remained standing at the time, because all the other city agencies were inaccessible. So we were actually the initial core. We were at the time building the city's geographic database with our partners at the Department of Environmental Protection. And we actually took our 3 computers the morning of the 12th and brought them to the Emergency Management Center and set up what was to be the core of a geographic data management center which ran 24/7 during the World Trade Center crisis. And this was used for all kinds of purposes. Just to give you an idea of how important it is to have that base map, there was a big question as to where the underground infrastructure was collapsed. What we were able to do is we were able to take remote sensing instruments which could look from above and measure the indentation of the collapse. And we're able to, because we had the base map for the city, we're able to register the plans for the World Trade Center with those and the different layers of it, and actually see how far it was indented and to which level. We couldn't have done that without the geographic base map. That's just one example. The other example is we used the base map for building application, where we were actually able to remotely access the geographic base map so that when the inspectors were in the building, they could make sure they were in the right building, because these were inspectors from all over the city. They didn't know that area. And they could actually digitally access remotely, wirelessly, who did the previous inspection, and then log their own inspection. And what was happening is, before we introduced this automated system, people would go out there with notebooks. It would take 4 days to go from the building inspection to the creation of a map that showed the status of the buildings and which streets could be opened and which couldn't be opened. We reduced that from basically a 4-day process to being able to do the inspections digitally in the morning and having a map of building status in the afternoon for the mayor's 2:30 conference. So that was a huge, I think that saved the city. Well, when you think that some of these financial firms, if they're not operational for 1 day, it costs them $10 million. So if we would have opened up one street 1 day sooner, you're talking about tens of millions of dollars. Now, I think that geographic application itself probably saved businesses in the city tens of millions, maybe even $100 million plus dollars.